against another victim whom I did not represent in that case. The New York Court of Appeals, which is New York's highest court, has agreed to hear Mr. Weinstein's appeal in 2023, in July. Given that there is now a possibility, although hopefully not a probability, that Mr. Weinstein's convictions in New York could be reversed, the Los Angeles prosecution is very important. Even if the New York conviction remains intact, the women whom Harvey Weinstein victimized in Southern California deserved to have their day in court. And I'm glad that they received that in this criminal case in Los Angeles. Breaking through their fear of what could happen to them if they spoke out against Mr. Weinstein has been a transformative experience for all of those whom I have represented. So I commend all of my clients for their courage and sacrifices to win justice. And I did represent 3 in the New York case as well. They have demonstrated that empowered and courageous women are able to make powerful men accountable for the injustices that they have inflicted on women. We should all be grateful to them for having made this a safer world for all of us. And this is a statement that Lauren Young asked me to read for her right now. My time on the stand finally came, and I'm so grateful that I had the chance to tell the truth about what happened to me back in 2013. I am relieved that Harvey Weinstein has been convicted because he deserves to be punished for the crimes that he committed, and he can no longer use his power to intimidate and sexually assault more women. After the New York City trial, a pandemic, a baby, and this Los Angeles trial, I can finally put this traumatic memory to rest. Reflecting on the past has taken a huge toll on my life. I want to say thank you to everyone that gave me the support I needed to keep my strength with this case. I have tremendous amounts of empathy for the victims of sexual violence, and I'm glad that there is one less monster on the street. Women need to stand up and speak their truth so that they can heal, move on with their lives, and be happy. I am very proud of this stronger version of myself that I have become. Leaving this trial behind is like a huge weight has been lifted, and it allows me to finally live my life with less fear. I'm embracing my inner voice, and I will never be silent again. So just to be clear, the charge in reference to Jane Doe number 2, Lauren, was sexual battery. The count on the jury was 10 for conviction and 2 for not convicting. So at this point, it will be for the prosecutor to make that decision as to whether he will retry the count for Lauren Young, and we'll await that decision. I expect that the judge will set a sentencing date, and that will be a time when the victim impact statements can be given, and at that point, I'll have a comment on Jane Doe 5, and if she is permitted to speak, she will speak at that victim impact statement. That'll be up to the judge to allow her or not allow her to speak at the sentencing. So I'll be happy to take any questions, and of course, Natasha M. is also requesting that she be permitted to speak at the sentencing. That'll also be within the discretion of the court to allow her to speak, and we'll see whether Lauren will speak or not. By that time, we'll know whether or not there will be a retrial on the charge in reference to her.
Ms. Allred, you said that from the beginning that the reason why these women are putting themselves out there is for closure. Do you think, Lauren, or does she feel like she can get closure without a conviction?
I just spoke to her on the phone a couple minutes ago, so I think it's going to have to be something that she's going to think about. But she was 100% committed to testifying again if she is asked to do so.
Gloria, you attended both trials. What do you think was different about this case or might have led to the, we had in New York was a split verdict as well, but it was 2 convictions and 1 acquittal. You had a hung jury here. What, if anything, just from your observations, was different about this trial that might have factored into that?
Well, of course, a different jury, different judge, slightly different elements of the law that need to be proven here, different evidence, different prosecutors, different defense team. I don't know what was in the jury's mind, which would be helpful once they are excused. They're not excused yet. They need to come back tomorrow to be instructed or further factors that they could consider, and should consider. So we'll have to wait and see. I can't really give a definitive answer to your question except for what I just said, because I don't know what the jury was considering or not considering in this case.
Gloria, put yourself in the prosecutor's shoes for a minute. You've got 4 hung jury counts there, and the count at least was 10-2 on 2 of them, 8-4 on the others. If you were in charge of doing the prosecution, would you say, is it worthwhile giving those odds to retry these cases?
It's a very complex decision. Part of it is whether witnesses or victims, Jane Doe's, for whom there was a mistrial on certain charges, would be willing to testify again. That's a major factor, and I can only speak for my client that she would be, but that's not the complete answer. There are many factors that the prosecutor will have to consider. At this point, I'm not ready to say whether he should or should not. I can only say that my client will be willing to testify.
Do you think he's going to be able to make that decision after they talk with the jury members and get a sense from them about what the strengths or problems were of the various charges and why they went 10-2 or 8-4?
It's always very, very helpful to talk to jurors after a trial to understand what was in their mind, what caused them indecision, what caused them decision, and, where any issue might have been for any of the jurors. It's very helpful. Of course, it would be a different jury next time, but still very important to poll the jury and interview the juries after, for those who are willing to speak to the prosecutor. And I'm sure the defense would be interested as well in speaking to individual jurors if they will speak to them.
I've got to throw this one at you. Given the high-profile nature of this case, given what the attention of the verdict and everything else, what we're doing now, is a retrial going to be tough? Would it have to be moved out of Los Angeles somewhere else because of the publicity and everything else that's received here?
I don't think it would have to be moved out of Los Angeles. I think there was far less coverage actually this time than there was in New York. Quite a bit less coverage in Los Angeles than in New York. Many reasons for that. But in any event, I think venue is not the issue. I think it's a complex decision. We'll see what the higher-ups say, what the district attorney himself says,
Gloria,
Mr. Gaston, about whether there'll be a retrial.
Gloria, what can you say about why they didn't proceed with Jane Doe 5?
I can't comment at this time, but I will say if she is permitted to give her victim impact statement at the sentencing, she is committed to doing that and coming here to do that. She's not in California. That's all I can say about where she is.
Can you discuss at all the reason she'd be willing to give an impact
Can you
statement,
speak
but
to the
not
center?
stand, but not take the stand?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
Obviously, you're saying she's willing to testify for an impact statement, but was not willing to testify at trial. Which led to
I didn't say she was not willing to testify at the trial. That's what you said. But
You didn't say she declined to testify.
Pardon me?
Didn't you say she declined to testify?
I never said she declined to testify. I never said why she did not testify. But if, as and when she's permitted to give a victim impact statement, she is committed to coming here to doing just that.
Can you speak to any of these aggravating factors that they're going to return and speak about tomorrow? Do you have any sense of what that is in relation to?
I don't know what they're going to be speaking about tomorrow. So I can't comment on that.
As a lawyer of some of these victims, are you happy with the verdict?
Am I happy with the verdict? My client, Lauren Young, is very happy that he was convicted. And she feels that that was justice. So she's thinking of others in addition to herself.
Thank you, Gloria.
Pardon me? Okay, yes. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay.